There was a house at the edge of town, hidden in the shadows of old oaks, that no one dared approach after sundown. Blackwood Manor had once been a grand estate, but now its windows were dark, its walls decayed, and its corridors said to echo with the voices of the past. Legend claimed that anyone who entered after midnight would be haunted by visions of those who had perished there. One stormy night, a young man named Tom, a skeptic and thrill-seeker, decided to explore Blackwood Manor. Armed with only a flashlight and his phone, he pushed open the heavy, creaking door, which seemed to sigh as he stepped inside. The air was thick and stale, filled with a silence that felt alive. Tom's footsteps echoed as he moved deeper into the house, and he soon realized he was not alone. Shadows seemed to flicker at the edge of his vision, darting around corners, always disappearing when he turned to look. Then he heard it, a faint rhythmic tapping from upstairs. He laughed nervously, chalking it up to an old house creaking in the wind, but his hands shook as he climbed the staircase. The noise grew louder, more insistent. At the top of the stairs, he came face to face with a hallway lined with portraits of the Blackwood family, their painted eyes seeming to follow him as he walked by. Suddenly, Tom's flashlight flickered, casting long, jagged shadows across the walls. As the light steadied, he saw a figure standing at the end of the hall, a woman in an old-fashioned dress, her face obscured by a veil. She stood motionless, her head slightly tilted, as if she were watching him. "Hello?" he called out, his voice barely a whisper. The woman didn't respond. She only lifted her hand slowly, pointing to the door beside her. Against every instinct, Tom felt compelled to approach. He reached the door, feeling a chill run through him as he grasped the knob. Inside, the room was filled with tattered furniture and the unmistakable smell of decay. On the floor, in a thick layer of dust, he saw footprints leading in a circle around the room, but no one was there. He turned to leave, but the door slammed shut. He banged against it, his cries echoing, but the house seemed to swallow the sound. Then, he heard faint whispers surrounding him, voices murmuring words he couldn't understand. He spun around, searching for the source, but he was alone, or so he thought. In the reflection of a dusty, cracked mirror, he saw them. Dozens of ghostly faces crowding around him, their eyes hollow, mouths open as if screaming. He felt a hand on his shoulder, cold and unyielding. Paralyzed with fear, he dared to glance back, but no one was there. In a desperate attempt to escape, he finally forced the door open and ran through the hall, the whispers growing louder, filling his ears with agonizing cries. When he burst through the front door into the stormy night, the voices suddenly stopped, and he found himself in silence. Tom never spoke of what he saw that night, but he was never the same. His once lively eyes became haunted, his nights filled with sleepless terror. And they say if you look into a mirror in Blackwood Manor, you might just see him, trapped in the shadows, like so many others before him, forever a part of the house's dark legacy.